Hi everyone, welcome back into another video. A few things to discuss. We've been doing some work with the newcomers for the Manx Grand Prix recently and updates on what's happening as TT gets closer and closer. Let's get into it. Updates on what we've been up to. Around a month ago now, the 7 TMs who live on Ireland, we all went to Ramsey to do our IMC, our Incident Management course. It's a course that marshals take, literally as it sounds, to deal with incidents. And from our point of view, we have to keep that up every few years. So we have to have signed off for any changes to procedures and things like that. And although obviously, as TMs, we go to practically every incident, and we're very up to date with the procedures that we're meant to do, but also in line with the medical staff at the TT, the doctors, the paramedics. We still go through the same IMC course as trackside static marshals. So we're all on the same page basically. And like I said in the last video, that was coming up and now that's been done. And it was good. It's always good for a refresher. And it's also good for, you have a lot of marshals there who are DSMs and CSMs. And so for us to talk with them about how we're going to deal with these incidents and if there's any details between us that need to be discussed, and there'll be a procedure change that comes from the TT that says we're going to do it this way. The Marshals Association will then pass that on to everybody and we hear about it kind of for the first time now. And the way that like deputy sector marshals interpret information and the way we do may be slightly different. So it's good for us all to be there, talk about it, and all get on the same page basically before TT comes. So yeah, that was really well worth doing. And yeah, we're all ticked off, signed off, got our certificate, and we're good to go on that front for TT. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got an email asking if I'd be happy to take part in instructing some of the newcomers for the Manx Grand Prix this year. I'm always happy to help. So last weekend, a few days ago now, we had the newcomers over who've been accepted for the Grand Prix on the island for some of them the first time. Some of them are local newcomers, some of them first time on the island, and some of them are very, very familiar with the island, having come for years and years and years for TT and Grand Prix as spectators or part of teams. But first time they've all come together as a group of newcomers who are doing the Grand Prix for this year. So great to meet them from all over the place. Kiwis, Dutch, French, Italians, some of them with interpreters. So interesting talking your way around a lap with them and somebody interpreting it. But like such a great bunch of lads. The Manx Grand Prix is in quite a fortunate position right now where every class is oversubscribed, and it's a knock-on effect from the success and the visibility and the exposure the TT gets, that anybody who's end games to do the TT, and I guarantee some of these lads will come through, do well, win Grand Prix and go on to do TTs and be decent. But in order for them to get there, they can't just apply to do the TT because they haven't got the CV to get accepted yet. And the TT literally accepts 3 or 4 newcomers a year because again, that's oversubscribed, and it's a great position, like I've said, but they have to come through the Grand Prix. And so I think there was over 80 applicants from newcomers for the Grand Prix this year, and they've got that down to under 30, so 20 something, and I think they might be accepting a few more. So it'll be around the 30 mark or just under. And so the people they're accepting, I was speaking to some of the people there and said, you know, what criteria are you actually judging them on to be accepted or denied? Is it just off results? And I was happy to hear that it's not. They take everything into account, but it's good to hear that how quickly people reply to questions that are asked of them, because it's dead easy to just say, I want to do this and there's my results. But it's more than that. It's more about the kind of people they are, the kind of teams they run, the kind of way they prepare themselves and their bikes to come here and take on this massive task. And how, almost like how keen, like, you know, how seriously are you going to take it? So interesting. And because of the way they've been selected through this process, to even get them to this point, they're all so switched on. They're so switched on in terms of how seriously they're taking it, how much they know the course. I've helped Newcomers for a few years, a couple of years in an official capacity, but before that, obviously with being a TM, you'll have people who are just coming over in an unofficial sense to come and do some laps. They've got an accepted entry for the Manx, and they just asked if I'd take them around. I might be a friend of a friend. I remember doing it with Andy Fisher a few years ago, who went on to do well, did 120 miles an hour lap. And it's interesting watching the development of people who are coming here and seeing how they've gone from some people knowing a bit about the course. Now everyone knows a lot about it, and it's really good. Some of them, you can't know too much, but I think sometimes if you've got loads and loads and loads of information in your head and you've convinced yourself that this is the way to do it, it can be a little bit hard sometimes to accept new information. So it's a fine balance between the two, between not having too much in your head and having enough. It sounds a little bit strange, but it's a difficult balance to strike. But the guys are brilliant, and they're a really good bunch as well. There's nobody in there who's got like a massive ego or thinks, So yeah, great to meet everybody, great to speak to them, great to take them round. Everyone's so switched on, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how that progresses for Grand Prix this year. In terms of updates from us in preparation for TT, nothing to say apart from RST have been in touch about having our airbag suits done this year. New boots, new gloves, and there'll be some different sponsors, so the jackets will change and things, but like nothing of any significance, just the usual, all the little things that need to be ticked off as far ahead in time as possible. And Tony deals with it all. Tony, Chief Travel Marshal, he basically liaises with all of our partners to make sure all of our things are ready for TT. But apart from that, nothing to tell you in terms of updates from us. I suppose where the big news comes is that we've got more confirmation of riders in teams and sort of unconfirmations of riders in teams. So made that video a little while ago about who's signed for who and who's moving where, and really excited to see Davey Todd riding for FHO, and now FHO aren't here at all. I mean, Davey Todd and Hickman are still in the same team, like they're still teammates. They're both on BMWs. I don't know if much is really going to change there, apart from the bikes might be in a different colour. Like in terms of the structure and the team personnel, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what's happened there, but it looks like it's been anticipated, and so the solution was already available straight away as soon as the problem was made public. So I'm sure that'll all be fine. Good to see that Connor's team have confirmed they are going to be using Ducati in Supersport, so the Panigale V2. I just keep thinking about Connor on that bike, and obviously everyone who listens to this knows I'm a bit of a Connor fan, and I think him on that Duke could be really, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. We've always talked about Connor. He's not really built for Supersport, but that's almost like a superbike from 10 years ago now, isn't it? So he should be okay on that. Whether you can do 130 and challenge Michael on it, I don't know, but still excited to see that for Connor. Somebody else who I talk about and I'm a fan of, and that's Josh Brooks, and I was like, fingers crossed, hopefully they could get something sorted with his with the Dow Honda team that he's with. Now, they haven't sorted anything out, but he is going to ride for Jackson's. So the Jackson's outfit are great. They've had some amazing riders on the bikes, and they had some great riders on the bikes last year with Paul Jordan and Julian Trummer. Julian's moved away, left the space. Josh is going to come in, and I'm just made up that Josh is here. I just want to see his progression. I want to see him carry on from where he was last year. Don't forget, he was on the podium last year in the senior. So yeah, I want to see Josh progress, and if he can get into that club with the other four, with Michael, with Hickman, with Davey Todd, and with Dean Harrison, if you can get into that club, and if we make that let's just call them the aliens for now. If we can make that alien group a little bit bigger, and have more competition for more races, then that's great. I'm really happy to see Josh on a bike of TT. And like watching his own videos, he's excited about it, and he didn't want to miss out. He didn't want all the hard work he'd done again to go to waste again. So yeah, great. Looking forward to seeing Josh back here again. And then wrapping up again, the whole Padgett's thing. Like I said last time, we had no idea what was happening with Padgett's, and Davey Todd's signed for them, but obviously not for his superbike, like we spoke about, but Super Sport and Twin. So I think Clive's going to be running Patterns. So very competitive bike, obviously if you can keep them going. But yeah, Davey back with Clive, force to be reckoned with. I'm sure they're going to have brilliant Super Sport bikes and lightweight bikes. So that solves a little bit of the Padgett's dilemma. I still don't know if they're running super bikes, and if they are, who's on them. I've heard that Hutchie's got an entry for the TT, but with who, still haven't been confirmed. So still not too sure what's going on with that one. The thing is, there's probably more people watching this who know more about it than I do. So I'm probably talking and telling you this stuff. You're like, yeah, I know. They're doing it, or he's with him, or he's what. So I'm sure it'll all come out in the comments, but I'm literally just taking what information I've heard or been told over the last few weeks and split it out to you. It's probably not quite up to date because you probably know more than I do, but I'm just literally, as I've said before, TT fan, telling you how I feel about what's going to be happening at TT from me as a fan's point of view, as well as the organisational side. And then there was I don't know if it's been confirmed, but Michael, is he going to be riding a BMW, not Honda, but with whose support? I'm not too sure. I don't know if that was confirmed or it was just a rumour, but news from Michael's camp in terms of he has been pictured riding a Ducati, so a V2 Panigale. Don't get excited about him riding a superbike, but he did this last year with the Triumph, if you remember. He was testing the Triumph for Supersport, but ended up bringing it, did a couple of laps or a couple of nights, and rode his R6 anyway. So you can still do the same thing with the Duke. Again, I suppose it's that thing, he wants to tick off as many manufacturers as possible, and if he thinks a Ducati or a Triumph is capable of winning Supersport, and he can win on one, that ticks off another one for him. So maybe we'll see Michael on a Ducati, as well as a few other people. So exciting, see how that goes. And I've talked about this before, but I know Dave Houston relatively well. We always say hello, we stop and talk, and we've done a few bits together, and like, I've got a lot of time for Dave, and I watch pretty much everything he does because I find him such a fascinating guy. And if you've watched anything to do with his Obsession Engineering channel over the last couple of years, you'll know Franco Bourne quite well. And even if you're just a BSB fan, you'll know Franco. Came through Junior Superstock and then National Superstock. Won the first couple of races, didn't he, at Silverstone 2 years ago. And then he ended up filling in on the factory Honda when he had some injuries. And last year really didn't go well for Franco with the Rapid Honda team that Dave was helping to run. And I saw Franco here 2 years ago. He was pushing bikes through for Dave and the team. And I said to him, he probably only be 17 or 18 at the time. I was like, do you not fancy a go at this? And he's like, oh, you know, never say never, but oh, not right now, because he's just completely focused on the short circuit thing. And I think obviously being in a team with Dave, or being surrounded by Dave and other people who are in the road racing world, it must be hard to compete, you know, constantly at British Championship level. And you know how hard it is. It's like you see like amazing road racers who go to like BSB rounds and they struggle. It's like, it's a different way of riding a bike, of course it is, but it's really, really intense. It's like 100% all the time, every lap. And physically, when you get that wrong, it hurts. And mentally, that's got to be really, really hard too. But like I say, it must be difficult when you're in this world where you're in the short circuit BSB world, but you're also kind of involved with the roads a little bit, that you see how well you can take a good short circuit racer, not all of them, but some of them, and they transition over to the roads and they make a career from it. Like, would Peter Hickman still be in a good BSB team if he wasn't such a successful TT rider? Maybe, maybe not, but that's what he is now, isn't he? Peter Hickman, he pretty, like me saying it, and he's not, his main thing isn't that he is a BSB rider, it's that he's a road racer who wins lots of TTs, who also does BSB for the other weekends. And that's that's not a criticism. It's definitely isn't a negative thing. I mean, for me and lots of you guys who watch this, that's a better thing. You know, that's more admirable in a way. You know, that's a you know, you look at people in more of a hero status if you're an amazing road racer because of the consequences of it. But yeah, I'm going off a bit on I again, like I always do. But Franco is going to start road racing, not the TT this year, but he signed for Cowton Racing, and what that will include, I'm not too sure. I'm guessing some of the Irish roads, probably Scarborough, maybe the Northwest. A lot of people will start at the Northwest as their first sort of international road race and go from there. But I would expect to see Franco here at TT, and hopefully if I catch him, I have a word with him and just see what he's up to, because I feel like I've watched him sort of progress through it a little bit. I don't know him very well at all, but I've only bumped into him a couple of times. But you feel like you've watched him because obviously you see on the internet, you see his journey closer. You don't just see him on a Sunday racing around at BSB. You see everything that goes behind it from Dave's videos and the way he's progressed. It's been interesting. He's kind of watched him grow up a little bit as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to follow him and see how that goes. So that's pretty much all I've got for you in terms of updates from Oars, updates from TT, updates going for Grand Prix and things. Things are going to start picking up now. It's getting towards March and the middle of March last year. Our Fireblades turned up, so here's hoping they aren't too far away. And like I said before, I'm going to make a more conscious effort to film from the arrival of the bikes, the run-in procedure, and more of a gradual build up to TT rather than the bikes have turned up, TT starts tomorrow and nothing in between. So I'm going to try and make that effort to do that for you. A lot of people have asked for it and interested in it, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, that's the updates for now. Hopefully not too long till we see our motorbikes, but I'll keep you updated. I'm sure you'll know about it as soon as I do. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.